The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched higher than any building on Earth. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood at the center, feeling small beneath the dome that showed 1,000,000 stars. Around him, in seats that rose like a giant theater, sat representatives from 47 alien species. Some had scales, some had fur, and some were just clouds of gas in containment suits. All of them were looking at him with the same expression. Contempt. "The human speaks again," said Council Prime, a tall being covered in blue feathers. "Tell us, Ambassador Webb, why should we allow your kind into this council?" Marcus straightened his jacket. He had practiced this speech for months. Humanity has achieved faster than light travel. We have established 12 colony worlds. We follow the laws of space exploration set by this council. We meet every requirement for membership. Laughter echoed through the chamber, not friendly laughter, the kind that made Marcus feel like a child asking to sit at the adult table. A reptilian creature leaned forward. "You have had FTL travel for only 50 years. We have had it for 10,000. You are babies playing with dangerous toys." "Dangerous is the right word," another alien added. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. "Your species wages war on itself. Your own planet is scarred by nuclear weapons. And you want us to trust you?" Marcus felt his face grow hot. "Those wars ended before we reached the stars. We've had peace for 70 years, interrupted Council Prime. 70 years of peace after 10,000 years of killing each other. Do you know how long the Volnash Empire has been at peace? 15,000 years. At the mention of the Volnash, 3 figures materialized on the highest platform. They appeared as holograms, but everyone in the room went silent. The hierarchy triad. They looked almost human, but taller, with skin that seemed to shimmer like metal. Their eyes were completely black. "The human question is settled," the center Volnash said, his voice deep and cold. "They are not ready. Perhaps in another 1,000 years we will reconsider." Marcus clenched his fists. "We're not asking for charity. We're asking for basic recognition. We exist, we have rights, rights." The Volnash on the left tilted his head. "Rights are given to those who can protect themselves. Your fleet has 200 ships. The Volnash Empire has 50,000. Do you understand the difference?" "We understand," Marcus said quietly, "but might doesn't make right." More laughter. The Volnash didn't even smile. "Here is our decision," the center being continued. "Humanity will reduce its military by 90%. You will accept Volnash observers on all your worlds. They will guide your cultural development. In 500 years, if you prove worthy, we will discuss membership again." Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. "You want us to disarm? To let you control our worlds?" "We prefer the word guide," the Volnash said. "But yes, these are the terms. Accept them, or the Council will consider humanity a threat to galactic peace." "A threat? We've never attacked anyone." "Not yet," Council Prime said. "But your kind has a history of violence. We will not wait for you to bring that violence to the stars. You have 30 days to respond to the Volnash terms." The session ended. The holograms vanished. Marcus stood alone in the center of the Great Hall while aliens filed out, none of them looking at him. Admiral Sarah Chen read Marcus's report 3 times. Each time she got angrier. "They want us to roll over and show our belly," she said, throwing the tablet onto her desk. "Not happening." "Admiral, we need to think carefully," said Dr. Kenji Tanaka. The scientist looked worried. "The Volnash Empire isn't bluffing. They have the ships to enforce this. Then we fight." "With what?" Kenji spread his hands. "They're right about the numbers." "We'd lose." Sarah stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth's orbital shipyards glowed like stars. Dozens of human ships moved between them, graceful and deadly. "My grandmother told me a story," Sarah said. "During World War II, after Pearl Harbor, a Japanese admiral supposedly said, 'I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant.' We're not the giant anymore. Kenji, we're the small dog backed into a corner, but we still have teeth." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we tell the Volnash no. We'll take our chances." The response from Earth was sent 28 days later. It was short. "Humanity declines the Volnash terms. We will maintain our sovereignty and our right to self-defense." The Galactic Council responded with stunned silence. Then one by one, member species began voting. By the end, 42 species voted to support containment measures against humanity. Only 5 abstained. None voted in support. Marcus watched from his small apartment on the council station. His hands shook as he poured coffee. His communicator buzzed. Sarah's face appeared. Marcus, you need to leave now. What's happening? Surveillance drones just appeared around every human colony. Hundreds of them, and long-range sensors picked up something big heading our way from Volnash space. How big? Sarah's expression was grim. 3,000 ships. Maybe more. This is it, Marcus. They're coming. Marcus grabbed his emergency bag. I'm heading to the shuttle bay. Hurry. I have a feeling the council station won't be safe for humans much longer. He was right. As Marcus ran through the corridors, aliens stepped aside, avoiding his eyes. Some looked sad. Others looked satisfied. One, a small furry creature he'd shared drinks with last month, whispered, I'm sorry. This is wrong. Marcus made it to his shuttle and launched. As he cleared the station, he looked back at the massive structure floating in space. Humanity had wanted so badly to join that community, to be part of something bigger. Now they would fight alone. The Volnash Armada was detected crossing into human space 3 days later. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display from her flagship, the UNS Defiance. Each red dot represented a Volnash warship. There were so many dots the screen looked like it was bleeding. All ships, battle stations, she ordered. Deploy defensive formations around the colonies. Evacuate civilians to hardened shelters. Admiral, her tactical officer said, even with every ship we have, the odds are, I know the odds, Lieutenant. Just do your job. We all do our jobs, and maybe some of us live through this. The Volnash didn't even send a warning. The first missiles hit New Horizon Colony while people were sleeping. The orbital bombardment was precise and terrible. Industrial centers vanished in nuclear fire. Cities became craters. Sarah watched the feeds with tears running down her face. Deploy the fleet, she whispered. All ships engage, but the Volnash were ready. They had planned this perfectly. Humanity's fleet was scattered across 12 worlds trying to defend everything. The Volnash attacked everywhere at once. Terra Nova fell next, then Kepler 452c. Each world became a graveyard. By the end of the first week, 3 billion humans were dead. By the end of the second week, Sarah's fleet was down to 70 ships. The Galactic Council released a statement calling the action regrettable but necessary to contain an aggressive species. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. Some cried. Some prayed. Some stood in silence, watching the sky and waiting for death. In a hidden bunker beneath Geneva, Dr. Kenji Tanaka opened a vault that had been sealed for 8 years. Inside were blueprints for weapons humanity had promised itself it would never build. He looked at the plans for Project Prometheus and made a call. Admiral Chen? I have something to show you. The hologram showed 3 colony worlds burning. Admiral Sarah Chen had watched it 16 times now, and each time felt like someone was driving a knife into her chest. The casualties are still being counted, her intelligence officer reported. Current estimates are 3.2 billion dead. That number will rise. Sarah closed her eyes. 3 billion people, gone, families, children, dreams, all turned to ash because the galaxy decided humanity was too dangerous to exist. Where's the Volnash fleet now? They've pulled back to staging positions around Jupiter. They're waiting. For what? Our surrender, Admiral. Sarah opened her eyes. They were red but dry. She'd cried all her tears in the first 48 hours. Now there was only cold rage. Get me Earth Command. And find Ambassador Webb. I need him on the next secure channel. Marcus Webb sat in a small room on the moon, watching news feeds from Earth. The planet was in chaos. Refugees from the destroyed colonies were arriving by the millions. The economy was collapsing. Food riots had started in 3 major cities. His communicator buzzed. Sarah's face appeared older than he remembered. The attack had aged her. Marcus, I need you to make one more broadcast. To who? The Council. They justified this. They called it necessary containment. His voice was bitter. I saw the statement. They're treating this like pest control. Not to the Council, Sarah said. To us, to humanity. They broke something when they killed 3 billion of us. I need you to remind people what we are. Who we are, Marcus rubbed his face. What do you want me to say? The truth. That we didn't start this. That we wanted peace. But if they think killing our people will make us surrender, they don't understand humans at all. 2 hours later, Marcus stood before a camera. Behind him, Earth filled the window, blue and beautiful and wounded. My name is Marcus Webb, he began. I was Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. I spent 3 years trying to make peace with the aliens. I believed in diplomacy. I believed in finding common ground. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. The Volnash Empire attacked our colonies without warning. They killed 3 billion men, women, and children. The Galactic Council called it necessary. They said we were too dangerous, too violent, too young. His hands clenched into fists. Maybe they're right about one thing. Maybe we are violent. But we didn't bring that violence to them. They brought it to us. They came to our homes. They murdered our families. And they expected us to bow down and accept it. Marcus stepped closer to the camera. I have a message for the Volnash Empire and the Galactic Council. You wanted to see what humans are really like? You wanted to know if we're as dangerous as you feared? You're about to find out. We didn't choose this war. You did. And now you're going to learn what humanity has always known. We are at our worst when you take everything from us. When you give us nothing left to lose, he took a breath. To every human watching this, they wanted to break us. They only made us remember who we are. We're the species that survived ice ages and plagues. We're the people who crossed oceans in wooden boats and went to the moon with computers less powerful than a phone. We don't quit. We don't surrender. And we sure as hell don't forgive. The broadcast ended. Within hours, it had been seen by every human in the solar system. Riots stopped. Panic turned to determination. Recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. Dr. Kenji Tanaka presented his proposal to Earth's Defense Council 3 days after Marcus's speech. The room was packed with generals, scientists, and government officials. Project Prometheus was designed 8 years ago, Kenji explained, showing blueprints on the main screen. We shelved it because we thought it was too dangerous. Too brutal. We said we'd never use weapons like this because they violated our principles. And now? Asked General Rodriguez, head of Earth's ground forces. Now our principles are dead on 3 colony worlds. Now we use every weapon we have. The screen showed designs for AI-assisted combat systems, quantum disruptor missiles, and kinetic bombardment platforms, ships that could think faster than any alien computer, weapons that could tear apart enemy fleets. This is just the beginning, Kenji said. Project Prometheus includes a complete overhaul of our tactical doctrine. No more fighting fair. No more civilized warfare. The Volnash expect us to fight like they do. Organized, predictable, honorable. We're going to do the opposite. Guerrilla warfare, Sarah said. Hit and run, ambush, psychological operations. Exactly. We can't match their numbers, so we match their strategy against them. We become unpredictable. We become the thing they fear. An older woman raised her hand. Defense Minister Chen, Sarah's mother, and if we do this, if we become what they fear, what happens to us after the war? The room went quiet. Kenji looked at Sarah, who stood slowly. We worry about that if we survive, Sarah said. Right now, the choice is simple. We fight with everything we have or we die. Maybe both. But I'd rather die fighting than live on my knees. The vote was unanimous. Project Prometheus was activated. Sarah stood in the shipyard above Mars, watching construction crews work around the clock. Civilian ships were being converted into military vessels. Hidden weapons platforms were being assembled. Humanity's industrial capacity, vast and determined, was turning toward one purpose: war. Her tactical officer approached. Admiral, we intercepted a Volnash communication. They're laughing about the casualties. One commander called it vermin extermination. Sarah's jaw tightened. Record everything. When this is over, the galaxy will know exactly what they did. If we survive, we'll survive. And then we'll make them regret every single death. Deep in the Oort cloud at the edge of the solar system, Sarah assembled what remained of her fleet. 70 ships. That was all humanity had left. But these weren't the same ships that had tried to defend the colonies. These were armed with Prometheus weapons. The crews had trained in new tactics. And they were angry. All ships, listen up, Sarah broadcast to the fleet. The Volnash think they've won. They killed billions of us and they're waiting for our surrender. They expect us to be broken, defeated, finished. She smiled, cold and dangerous. Let's show them what a mistake looks like. New orders, we're not defending anymore. We're attacking. Every Volnash supply line, every staging area, every single ship that enters human space. We make them bleed for every meter they take. We make them afraid to sleep. We make them regret the day they decided to mess with Earth. Cheers echoed across the fleet channels. One more thing, Sarah added. The rules of civilized warfare? The Geneva Conventions? The Galactic Accords on military conduct? The Volnash threw those out when they bombed civilian cities. So we're making new rules. Our rules. And rule number 1 is simple. We win. However we have to. Whatever it takes. The fleet moved out 70 ships against an empire. On Earth, factories ran day and night. Every asteroid mining station was converted to weapons production. Retired soldiers came back to service. Civilians trained as militia. The Volnash had awakened something old and terrible in humanity. Something that had been sleeping since the last World War. The capacity for total, absolute, unrelenting violence in defense of home. Marcus watched from his moon base as the first human strike force jumped into hyperspace. They were heading to a Volnash supply depot 20 light-years away. "Good hunting," he whispered to the stars. In her quarters, Sarah looked at a photo of her family. Her husband and daughter had been on Terra Nova when it burned. "For you," she said quietly. "For all of us." Then she put the photo away, locked down every emotion except rage, and went to plan the next attack. There would be time for grief when the war was over, if it ever was. The Volnash supply depot at Kepler 88 was supposed to be secure. It was deep in their territory, protected by 3 dozen warships, with sensor arrays covering millions of kilometers. So when the human ships appeared directly in the middle of the depot, materializing from hyperspace at point-blank range, the Volnash crews had exactly 4 seconds to react. It wasn't enough time. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the Defiance as her ships unleashed everything they had. The new quantum disruptor missiles didn't just destroy the Volnash ships. They tore them apart at the molecular level, turning metal into dust. "All targets destroyed," her tactical officer reported. "0 casualties on our side." "Good, take everything we can carry. Food, fuel, weapons, then blow the rest." "Admiral, their distress signal got through. Reinforcements will arrive in 20 minutes, Sarah smiled. "Then we'll be gone in 15. The human fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and confused Volnash commanders, wondering how a human force had appeared in their secure territory without any warning. It was the first of many such attacks. Over the next month, human ships struck at 12 Volnash positions. They appeared without warning, hit hard, and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. Supply lines were cut, communication relays destroyed. Volnash commanders started sleeping with their weapons. "They're like ghosts," one Volnash captain reported to his superiors. "We never see them coming. By the time our sensors detect them, they're already attacking." In the Hierarchy Command Center on Volnash Prime, the Triad reviewed the reports with growing concern. "How are they doing this?" the left member demanded. "Our intelligence said the humans had 70 ships. How are 70 ships disrupting operations across half our territory?" "Because they don't fight like we do," the center member said slowly. "We move in formations. We follow doctrine. We are predictable. The humans are chaos. They attack supply depots one day, communication stations the next. There's no pattern, no honor, no rules. Then we will show them the price of dishonor," the right member declared. "Send the Third Fleet, 500 ships. Find the humans and eliminate them." The Third Fleet found the humans 3 weeks later near a dead star system humans called the Graveyard. The Volnash admiral smiled when his sensors detected the human ships. There were only 20 of them, and they seemed to be mining asteroids. "Surround them," he ordered. "They have nowhere to run." The Volnash ships moved into position, forming a perfect sphere around the human vessels. The admiral opened a channel. "Human ships, you are surrounded. Surrender and you will be treated according to military law." Admiral Chen's face appeared on his screen. She was smiling. "That's funny," she said. "Because so are you." The asteroids exploded. They weren't asteroids at all. They were human ships disguised with fake sensor signatures. 50 additional vessels appeared, and suddenly the Volnash were caught in a crossfire. The battle lasted 8 minutes. When it was over, the Volnash Third Fleet was destroyed. The human ships vanished, leaving only wreckage and a message buoy. The message was simple. You wanted war. Here it is. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Ambassador Marcus Webb, who had been declared persona non grata, watched the broadcast from Earth. "The human situation is becoming problematic," Council Prime admitted. "They were supposed to be contained. Instead, they are fighting effectively against the Volnash Empire." "More than effectively," said a representative from the Kriva species, reptilian beings with green scales. "They are winning. My question is, why did we ever believe the Volnash propaganda that humans were the threat?" Shocked silence filled the chamber. No one questioned the Volnash in the council. The Kriva will abstain from further votes on this matter, the representative continued. We have reviewed the evidence. The Volnash attacked first. They killed billions of civilians. If anyone is a threat to galactic peace, it is them. The hologram of the hierarchy triad materialized, and the Kriva representative went silent. The human infection will be removed, the center triad member announced. We will increase our forces. 5,000 ships will enter human space. This time, there will be no survivors. Earth itself will burn. On Earth, Dr. Kenji Tanaka received an unexpected message. It came through a secret channel, encrypted with codes that took his AI 12 hours to crack. When he finally read it, his hands started shaking. Sarah, you need to see this. Admiral Chen read the message 3 times. This is from the Kriva? Yes, it includes intelligence on Volnash fleet movements, communication codes, and... Kenji hesitated. An offer to help. Why would they help us? Read the last part, Sarah scrolled down. The message ended with a simple statement. The hierarchy has oppressed our people for 700 years. We lack the strength to fight them alone, but perhaps together we might all be free. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. Sarah looked up. They want an alliance, more than that. They're offering us intelligence, supply bases in their territory, and access to their technology. In exchange, if we win, we help liberate their worlds from Volnash control. If we win? Sarah laughed bitterly. That's a big if. It's the only if that matters. The meeting took place in a neutral system, far from both human and Kriva space. Sarah brought 2 ships. The Kriva ambassador brought 3. Ambassador Skithar was old, even by Kriva standards. His scales were faded and he moved slowly, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. Admiral Chen, he said, his translator turning his hisses into English. Thank you for meeting with us. I know you have no reason to trust any alien species after what was done to your people. You're right, Sarah said bluntly. I don't trust easily anymore. So tell me why I should trust you. Skithar showed her a hologram. It showed Kriva worlds under Volnash occupation. Workers in chains. Children in labor camps. Mass graves. Because we have suffered as you have. For centuries. The Galactic Council knows this happens, but they do nothing. The Volnash are too powerful and the Council are cowards. Sarah studied the images. How many species are under hierarchy control? 12 that we know of. Millions of beings enslaved. The Volnash tell the galaxy they are peacekeepers. In reality, they are conquerors. And you want us to help free your people. We want to help each other. Your species has proven something no one believed possible. You can fight the hierarchy and win. With our intelligence and your tactics, we might actually succeed. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. If we do this, the entire galaxy will turn against us. The Council will declare us pirates, terrorists, threats to everyone. They already have, Skithar said gently. What do you have to lose? Sarah looked at her tactical officer, who nodded. She looked at Marcus, watching via holocall, who gave a thumbs up. All right, she said. Let's free some slaves and kick some hierarchy ass. The alliance was formed in secret. The Kriva provided Sarah with intelligence on hierarchy fleet positions and weak points in their territory. In exchange, the human fleet would strike at Volnash military installations on Kriva worlds. The first joint operation happened 3 weeks later. Human ships appeared in orbit around Kriva Prime, a world that had been under Volnash occupation for 200 years. The garrison there had 400 soldiers and 3 gunships. The humans gave them 1 chance to surrender. The Volnash commander laughed and opened fire. It was a mistake. The human ground forces that landed were nothing like the Volnash expected. They moved fast, fought dirty, and never gave up. Street by street, building by building, they pushed the occupiers back. A Volnash sergeant radioed his commander. Sir, the humans don't stop. We hit one with 3 plasma shots and he kept fighting. What are these creatures? They're angry, his commander replied, right before a human breaching charge blew through his bunker wall. The battle lasted 2 days. When it was over, Kriva Prime was free. The Volnash garrison was destroyed, and for the first time in 2 centuries, Kriva children played in the streets without fear. Skithar stood with Sarah in the capital city, watching celebrations. Thank you, the old alien said quietly. You have given us hope. Sarah watched Kriva families reuniting, saw the joy on their faces. For the first time since the colonies burned, she felt something other than rage. "We're not doing this for thanks," she said. "We're doing it because it's right. And because the hierarchy needs to learn that their time is over." News of the Kriva liberation spread across the galaxy faster than light. 3 other oppressed species sent secret messages to Earth asking for help. The Galactic Council fractured as member species began questioning the war. And on Volnash Prime, the hierarchy triad watched their empire beginning to crack. "The humans must be eliminated," the center member said. "Send everything. Every ship we have. Find Earth and destroy it. No more games. No more mercy." 5,000 Volnash warships began moving toward human space. It was the largest fleet ever assembled by any species in galactic history. Admiral Chen watched them coming on her long-range sensors. "So that's how they want to play it," she said. "Fine. Let's go to their home and see how they like it." Her crew stared at her. "Admiral, you can't be serious. Attack their homeworld? That's suicide." Sarah's smile was sharp. "Maybe, but they won't expect it." Volnash Prime was beautiful. From space it looked like a pearl, white and gleaming with cities that stretched across continents. It had never known war. For 15,000 years, the hierarchy homeworld had been untouchable. That changed when Admiral Sarah Chen's fleet dropped out of hyperspace directly in orbit. The defense fleet stationed there had 800 ships. They were ceremonial guards meant for parades and show. They hadn't fought a real battle in centuries. When alarms started screaming across every military base on the planet, confusion turned to panic. "Human ships, in orbit, how did they get past our sensors? All hands to battle stations." This is not a drill, but the humans didn't wait for the Volnash to organize. They had spent 2 months planning this attack, and every second mattered. Dr. Kenji Tanaka's voice crackled over Sarah's command channel. "Quantum disruptors ready. EMP swarms deployed. Kinetic bombardment platforms in position. Fire everything," Sarah ordered. The sky above Volnash Prime lit up like a second sun. Human weapons designed for maximum destruction tore through the defense fleet. Ships exploded. Orbital platforms shattered. The Volnash military, which had terrorized the galaxy for millennia, learned what it felt like to be helpless. On the planet's surface, citizens looked up to see their invincible defense fleet burning. Debris rained from the sky. For the first time in their history, Volnash people felt fear. In the hierarchy command center, buried deep beneath the capital city, the triad watched their defenses collapse. "How many human ships?" the left member demanded. 87, a military commander reported, "but they're fighting like 800. Our fleet is in chaos. Commanders don't know which targets to prioritize." "Then tell them to prioritize all of them," the right member shouted. "Sir, the humans aren't following any tactical pattern. They're attacking simultaneously from multiple vectors. Our AI can't predict their movements. It's like they're making decisions too fast for our systems to track." The center triad member understood. They're using AI-assisted tactics. Their computers are working with their crews, not replacing them. It's hybrid warfare. We've never faced this before. Then adapt. Send reinforcements from the surface. "Sir, reinforcements are already launching." But the humans deployed something. Some kind of drone swarm. They're targeting our ships as they leave atmosphere. "We're losing dozens," alarms blared. The command center shook. "What was that?" "Human ground forces, sir. They're landing." All across the capital, Sarah watched from the Defiance as dropships streaked toward the planet's surface. Each ship carried 40 Marines in powered armor, equipped with weapons that made Volnash technology look primitive. Commander Rachel Torres led the ground assault. She had lost her entire family on New Horizon. She had volunteered for every dangerous mission since, and now she was landing on the hierarchy homeworld with one mission: capture the triad alive. "Listen up," she told her troops as their ship shook from atmospheric entry. "The hierarchy killed 3 billion of our people. They thought we'd break. They thought we'd surrender. Today we show them what happens when you mess with humanity. Stay sharp, stay together, and remember, we're not just fighting for us. We're fighting for every species these bastards have enslaved." The dropship hit ground in the middle of the Capitol Plaza. Volnash security forces were waiting, armed and ready. They weren't ready enough. Human Marines poured out of the ship, moving with terrifying speed and precision. Volnash plasma weapons fired, but the humans' armor absorbed the hits. Human rifles fired back and Volnash soldiers fell. "They're not stopping," a Volnash officer screamed into his radio. "We hit them and they keep coming. Use heavy weapons. It's not working. What are these creatures made of? Rachel led her squad toward the Hierarchy Command Center. They fought through security checkpoints, blast doors, and automated defenses. Nothing slowed them down. A Volnash sergeant stood in their path, firing his weapon desperately. Rachel took 3 shots to the chest, stumbled, and kept walking. She reached the sergeant and knocked him aside like he was a child. "You should have stayed away from Earth," she said, and moved on. In orbit, the battle raged. More Volnash ships arrived every minute, reinforcements from across their territory. The humans were outnumbered 5-1 now. 10-1. 20-1. Sarah watched her fleet taking damage. Ships were lost. Good people died, but they held their position. "Admiral, we're being surrounded," her tactical officer warned. "If we don't retreat soon, we won't be able to escape." "We are not escaping," Sarah said. "Not until Rachel completes her mission." "Admiral, with respect, we can't hold here much longer." "Then we hold as long as we have to." An explosion rocked the Defiance. Shields were failing. Hull breaches on 3 decks, but Sarah stood firm. "All ships, this is Chen. I know it's bad. I know we're taking losses. But down there, our people are fighting for something bigger than us. They're showing the galaxy that tyrants can be touched, that empires can fall. We hold this position until they're done. No retreat, no surrender." Across the fleet, crews redoubled their efforts. Engineers patched holes with their bare hands. Gunners fired until their weapons melted. Pilots pushed their ships beyond safety limits, performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. The Volnash had more ships, but the humans had something the Volnash couldn't match. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their very survival. And that made all the difference. Deep in the command center, Rachel's squad breached the final door. The Hierarchy Triad stood inside, protected by 24 elite guards. "Surrender," Rachel demanded. "This is over." The Center Triad member laughed. "You think you've won? We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. Even if you kill us, the hierarchy continues." "We're not going to kill you," Rachel said. "You're going to stand trial. The galaxy is going to see what you really are." "Impossible. We are the hierarchy. We are eternal." Rachel raised her weapon. "You were eternal. Past tense. Now you're just 3 old aliens who made a really bad decision." The guards attacked. The firefight was brutal and short. When it ended, all the guards were dead and Rachel's squad had lost 4 soldiers. But the Triad was captured, bound, and being dragged toward the extraction point. "Taurus to Chen. We have the package. Get us out of here." Sarah felt relief wash over her. "Copy that. All ships covering fire. Bring them home." The human fleet formed a corridor, protecting the extraction ships as they lifted off from Volnash Prime. The planet's defenses threw everything they had at them, but the humans fought through it. As Rachel's ship cleared atmosphere, she looked down at the planet. The capital was burning. The defense fleet was shattered. The invincible hierarchy homeworld looked broken and vulnerable. "Taurus to all ground forces," she broadcast. "Extraction successful. Mission complete. We're going home." Cheers erupted across every human channel. They had done the impossible. They had struck at the heart of the hierarchy and won, but the cost was high. Sarah counted her remaining ships. 53. They had lost 34 vessels in the battle. Thousands of good people. She looked at the casualty reports and felt the weight of every death. These people had trusted her, followed her into hell, and many of them hadn't come back. But they had accomplished something incredible. The galaxy would never be the same. As the fleet prepared to jump back to human space, a message came through on all Volnash channels. It was being broadcast to every ship, every station, every world in the hierarchy. Admiral Chen's face appeared. Behind her, bound and defeated, were the 3 members of the Hierarchy Triad. "People of the hierarchy," Sarah began. "For 15,000 years you have ruled the galaxy through fear and oppression. You attacked humanity thinking we were weak, thinking we would break. You were wrong." She gestured to the captured Triad. "Your leaders will stand trial for genocide. The galaxy will know the truth about what they did, and the hierarchy's reign of terror ends today. To any Volnash ship still fighting, stand down. Your leaders have fallen. You can continue this war and lose everything, or you can accept that the old ways are over." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Humanity didn't want this war. We wanted peace. But you made your choice. Now live with it." The broadcast ended. Across the hierarchy, Volnash military commanders looked at each other in shock. Some were angry, some were relieved. All of them were confused. The center triad member, bound and humiliated, glared at Sarah with pure hatred. "You have destroyed everything," he said. "The galaxy will descend into chaos without our guidance." Sarah looked at him without emotion. "Good, let it burn. Better chaos and freedom than order and slavery." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying their prisoners home. Behind them, Volnash Prime burned and the hierarchy began to crumble. The war wasn't over, but the hierarchy had learned something important. Humanity could be hurt but never broken. They could be knocked down, but they would always get back up, and when they did, they would hit back harder than anyone thought possible. The galaxy was about to learn that same lesson. The trial lasted 3 months. It was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. The hierarchy triad stood in a courtroom built on neutral ground, a small station between human and Kriva space. Representatives from 20 species sat in judgment. Humans, Kriva, and others who had suffered under hierarchy rule. Ambassador Marcus Webb served as the chief prosecutor. He had changed since the war began. His hair was gray now and his eyes had seen too much death. But his voice was steady as he presented the evidence. "The charges are genocide, enslavement, and crimes against sapient species," he began. "The evidence speaks for itself. Holographic displays showed everything. The unprovoked attack on human colonies, the billions killed, the slave camps on Kriva worlds, mass graves on a dozen planets. 700 years of hierarchy atrocities, all documented, all undeniable. The center triad member didn't even try to defend himself. He sat silent, his face showing no emotion. When Marcus finished, he turned to the judges. These beings ordered the deaths of 3 billion humans. They enslaved millions of others, and they did it all while calling themselves peacekeepers. The galaxy trusted them. The Galactic Council gave them power, and they used that power to become tyrants. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all charges, the sentence was exile. The triad would be sent to a prison planet, far from any civilization, where they would spend the rest of their lives isolated from the galaxy they had tried to rule. As guards led them away, the center member stopped and looked at Admiral Sarah Chen. "You think you've won," he said quietly, "but you've only created a power vacuum. The galaxy will tear itself apart without the hierarchy to maintain order." Sarah met his gaze without flinching. "Then we'll deal with that. But at least we'll do it free." Earth was rebuilding. Where colonies had burned, new settlements were rising. The dead were mourned, their names carved into monuments that stretched for miles. 3 billion names. 3 billion lives taken too soon. Sarah stood at the memorial on New Horizon, the first colony the hierarchy had attacked. Workers had rebuilt the city around the monument so no one would ever forget. "Admiral Chen?" She turned to see a young Kriva in a military uniform. He couldn't have been more than 20 years old in human terms. "Yes? My name is Skavan. I wanted to thank you. My family was freed from a slave camp on Kriva Prime. Because of you, I grew up free. Because of you, I could join the military and serve." Sarah smiled sadly. "I didn't do it alone. A lot of humans died to free your people. Good people, I know. That's why I'm here. To learn from you. To make sure their sacrifice meant something." She looked at the young alien, saw the determination in his eyes, and felt something shift inside her. The war had been about survival, about revenge. But maybe it could be about something more. "Come on," she said. "Let me show you what we're building." The Commonwealth of Free Worlds met for the first time in Geneva, Earth. 53 species sent representatives. Some were former members of the Galactic Council, others were newly freed from hierarchy rule. All of them came seeking something different. Ambassador Webb addressed them from the main stage. "The old council was built on fear and control," he said. "One species held all the power, and everyone else followed orders or suffered. We're not doing that again." He gestured to the document displayed behind him. "The Commonwealth will have no single ruler. Every species gets one vote, regardless of military strength or population. Decisions are made together, and any species that doesn't like it can leave. No one is forced to stay." A representative from the Thurian species, insect-like beings with compound eyes, raised a limb. "What about disputes between members?" "Who enforces the rules?" "We all do," Webb answered. "The Commonwealth Defense Force will be made up of volunteers from all member species. If someone attacks a member world, they attack all of us." "And what about humanity?" asked a floating jellyfish being. "Your species has the most powerful military in the galaxy now. What's to stop you from becoming the new hierarchy? The room went quiet. Every eye turned to Admiral Chen, who stood in the back of the hall. She walked to the stage, her boots echoing in the silence. Nothing stops us, she said bluntly. If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we probably could. We have the weapons, we have the experience, and we have a lot of anger. Fear rippled through the audience, but we won't, Sarah continued. Because we didn't fight this war to rule anyone. We fought to survive. We fought to be free. And we believe every species deserves the same freedom. She looked around the room. Some of you are worried about human military power. Good. You should be. We're dangerous when threatened. But here's what you need to understand. We only fight when someone takes away our choice. The moment you threaten our homes, our families, or our freedom, we become your worst nightmare. But leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. It's that simple. And if we choose not to join the Commonwealth, someone asked. Sarah shrugged. Then don't join. We're not the hierarchy. We don't force anyone to do anything. But if you attack a Commonwealth member, you'll answer to all of us. That's the deal. The vote took place the next day. 48 species joined the Commonwealth. 5 chose to remain independent, which was their right. The old Galactic Council officially dissolved, its representatives going home to their own worlds. A new galaxy was being born. Dr. Kenji Tanaka stood in his lab, looking at the weapons that had won the war. The quantum disruptors, the AI combat systems, the kinetic platforms that could level cities. What do we do with them? Asked his assistant, a young woman named Lisa Park. We keep some, Kenji said, because there will always be threats. But the worst of them? The things that are too dangerous to exist? He pressed a button. Across the solar system, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, certain weapons began their decommissioning process. Blueprints were deleted, prototypes destroyed. Some knowledge should stay buried, Kenji said quietly. We proved we could build them. We proved we could use them. That's enough. Lisa looked at him. Do you think we did the right thing? Using those weapons? I think we did what we had to do. Whether it was right? He shook his head. History will decide that. Sarah retired from the military 6 months after the trial. She was 53 years old and had spent 30 years in uniform. She had lost her family, watched friends die, and carried the weight of billions of deaths. She went home to Earth, to a small house in the mountains where she could see the stars at night. Marcus visited her there one evening. They sat on her porch drinking coffee and watching the sunset. The Commonwealth is working, Marcus said. Slowly, but it's working. Trade routes are opening up. Mixed colonies are being established. It's actually happening. Good, Sarah said. That's what we fought for. The military academies want you to teach. Pass on what you learned. Maybe. Eventually. She was quiet for a moment. I killed a lot of people, Marcus. Millions, probably, if you count all the battles. They were trying to kill you first, I know, but it doesn't make it easier. She looked at her hands. I remember the old Sarah before the war. The one who believed in diplomacy, who thought violence was always wrong. I miss her. Marcus put his hand on her shoulder. She's still in there. She's just older now, sadder, but she's there. Sarah smiled slightly. Maybe. A shuttle appeared in the sky, landing in her yard. Skavan, the young Kriva officer, stepped out. Admiral Chen, he called out. Sorry to interrupt, but there's something you need to see. She sighed and stood. What now? The Thurians are having a border dispute with the Centauri. Nothing serious yet, but the Commonwealth Council asked if you could mediate. I'm retired. I know. But they trust you. Both sides do. Sarah looked at Marcus, who smiled. Some people don't get to retire. You're one of them. She grabbed her jacket. Fine, but I'm not shooting anyone. Those days are over. Yes, ma'am. Skavan said happily. As they walked to the shuttle, Sarah paused and looked back at Earth. The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and gold. Somewhere up there were the memorials, the graves, the scars of war. But there were also the new colonies. The mixed species settlements. The Commonwealth ships patrolling together, protecting each other. They had paid a terrible price. 3 billion human lives. Millions more across the galaxy. The scars would never fully heal. But they had won something important. Freedom. Choice. The right to exist without bowing to tyrants. Sarah climbed into the shuttle. As they lifted off, she looked down at her home planet one last time. You know what the hierarchy never understood? She said to Skavan. What's that, Admiral? Humans are dangerous. We're violent. We're stubborn. All the things they feared about us were true. She smiled. But we're also capable of great compassion, great sacrifice. We'll die for strangers. We'll fight for those who can't fight for themselves. That's what makes us human. Both the violence and the love, Skavan nodded. My people learned that. You freed us even though you didn't have to. You risked everything to help species you'd never met. That's because we remembered what it felt like to be helpless, to have someone else control our fate. Sarah looked out at the stars. We made a promise after the war, never again. Not to us and not to anyone else. That's what the Commonwealth is about. The shuttle jumped to hyperspace, carrying them to their next mission. Below, Earth continued spinning, scarred but unbroken.